Good evening, and once again, welcome from Merrittville Speedway, south of St. Catharines. I'm Eric Thomas on McLean Hunter Cable 10. Again, with General Manager of the Speedway, Doug Kerr. It's Mother's Day Eve. We have a special, don't we?
Eric, thanks to former Member of Parliament Mel Swart, all ladies tonight are admitted free.
Mel, of course, has been coming here since the year they invented rope. No, that's not true exactly. He's been coming here since the track opened in the early 50s. He's been a big booster of this track and of the sport, too, hasn't he, Doug?
Well, I started here as a 7-year-old in 1954, and Mel was in the grandstands at that time, and he's here again with us tonight.
It is a lot warmer this Saturday than it was last week. Of course, we had a very, very spongy, very tacky track and a very quick evening of racing. We're still anticipating that kind of speed with the track being as tacky as it is, but you've had over a week of rain, Doug. How does that affect the surface?
Well, Eric, it actually started to dry out on us this morning. We put a load of water on it about 2:30, 3 o'clock, and we've got a few problems with it now, but it looks like it's coming in nicely.
Another fast evening of racing coming up on McLean Hunter Cable 10. Pete Bicknell was the winner in the modifieds last week. Can he do it again? He's after 6 championships in the points in a row. Let's see what happens.
Serving your community. This is McLean Hunter Cable TV.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome once again to Merrittville Speedway for another Saturday night of Pro Stock, Sportsman, and Modified Racing. I'm Eric Thomas from CFTR Radio in Toronto, and nice to have you all with us. Had some nice comments after our first telecast, and we're going to give you another fine show. Pro Stocks are first out, as always. It's Mother's Day Eve. We'll be talking a little more about that as the evening wears on. 5 to qualify out of heat number 1 on the Pro Stocks. Out first, the 94 car of Craig Mulligan. Right beside him in row number 1, the 117 of Steve Robbins out of Niagara Falls. The 67 car is Scott Mitchell from St. Catharines. The 75J, Steve DeVos out of Welland in his Malibu. Third row inside, the 18B car is Wayne Boyd out of St. Catharines in his old Cutlass. And the number 9, the winner of our Pro Stock feature last week, that's Wayne Howard out of St. Catharines in his Monte Carlo. And car 55 out of Hamilton, Don Erskine. That's the way they line up for Pro Stock heat number 1. 7 cars, only 5 will fail to qualify for the Pro Stock feature a little later on. Mel Swart is the sponsor of the evening's program, the former MLA, from Welland Thorold. Mother's Day Eve night, all ladies admitted free. Had a lot of rain this week, but the track has been well worked in by Mike Buttery and crew and the Packer people. Cars with the big fat tires, and looks like another ultra quick racing surface. Thankfully and mercifully, we are nowhere near as cold this Saturday night as we were last week as we opened up the 38th racing season at Merrittville Speedway, and McLean Hunter Cable 10 very, very proud to be here and bring that to you. We'll have Mel on a little later on, and we'll get some comments from him, as we mentioned in our intro. We have a look at Barry Davidson and Roger Slack, who was our guest starter tonight. Roger is the grandson of Bob Slack, the owner and proprietor of Cayuga International Speedway, that fine 5/8 mile paved oval just south of Hamilton, a little place called Nell's Corners. We're going to be doing a little work on TSN a little later on this summer with the cast cars, and when the dirt modifieds are run here, bolt down the suspension and put on the different shoes and run up on the asphalt at Cayuga. We'll be up there to do a little work on TSN as well. So there's the 94 car front row inside, Craig Mulligan with a little flag on the top. Makes it a little easier for his fans to see him, I suppose. So Barry Davidson looks that field over. The 94 car, Craig Mulligan leads him around 3 and 4. And didn't have any racing last week and last night at Ransomville Speedway. And right off the bat, we've got some problems here. Steve Robbins, and we got Steve DeVos and Wayne Howard get the sparks flying as they went catapulting into the concrete abutment just below Barry Davidson. A hair-raising start to our evening, mentioning no racing last night at Ransomville or the week before. So a lot of these drivers are pretty anxious to get out here. Maybe that's what caused the mishap, and Steve Robbins better get a wiggle on here as the pack is coming around. Craig Mulligan in the 94, he finally gets it straightened out, but I'm telling you, all kinds of problems here for Steve Robbins. He can't get that car straightened out no how. Everyone's going to try to get by here safely. The yellow flag comes up from Barry Davidson. No laps completed. No laps completed. Heats are all 8 laps in duration. And no laps there, as we said, so we've got to start from scratch as things got pretty ragged there off the start. So Barry Davidson will get things all straightened around and get them straightened up. Still kind of slick out there around the edges, as usually is the case with the first couple of Pro Stock heats. We'll have the point standings up a little later on in our program in the 3 different divisions, the modifieds, the Sportsman, and the Pro Stock as well, and we'll run them down for you. Still very, very early in the campaign. 8 laps, 5 to qualify. No laps that time as things got a little untidy off the start. And Craig Mulligan in the 94 will lead him around. Front row inside, Steve DeVos in the 75J. Wayne Howard is right there. He won the feature last week. He's going to be a force to be reckoned with before we're all done here tonight, you can be sure. And here they come on the break. And off the break in the green flag, Steve DeVos and Wayne Howard go door handle to door handle, as they did most of last week as well. Steve DeVos in the 75 out of Welland in his Malibu takes over the lead. Wayne Howard right there in the red number 9. Pro Stock's up and running, 3rd place. Coming down in turn number 4. 67 car hanging on to 3rd place. Scott Mitchell out of St. Catharines, and now the 55 car of Don Erskine out of Hamilton gets a little out of shape, and the 94 car of Craig Mulligan spewing a lot of smoke back there. It's far too late for a barbecue, so he's got some problems under the hood of the 94. Steve DeVos, 75J, Wayne Howard 1 and 2. Boy, the 94 car of Craig Mulligan throwing an awful lot of smoke, but he's hanging on to 3rd place. Scott Mitchell in the 67's got to have a little trouble breathing back there with all that smoke. But Steve DeVos in the 75J is your leader. 2 laps are down out of a total of 8, 6 more to go. Steve DeVos, 75J. Wayne Howard in the number 9. Here comes the limping 94 of Craig Mulligan. And the 67 of Scott Mitchell out of St. Catharines, running currently in 4th place, and a huge gap before the 55 of Don Erskine out of Hamilton. But it's still the DeVos 75J pulling him out of number 4 underneath the Barry Davidson starter stand. And Wayne Howard in hot pursuit, but DeVos at this point looking rather good with about a 2-car length lead. And finally, the 94, Craig Mulligan starts to tighten up with those mechanical problems, and Scott Mitchell will shift by him and take over 3rd place. Now the slower back markers make things a little interesting for the 2 lead cars. Steve DeVos in the 75J, the blue car, the red car, number 9, Wayne Howard, the feature winner here last week. Wayne Howard goes way high up at number 1 and slides off in the loose stuff up on the top. Now they've got some fireworks underneath the hood of the 94 of Craig Mulligan. And he's getting the motion from Barry Davidson to please leave the speedway. The number 18 with all kinds of problems here, Wayne Boyd, gets sideways and just about squeezed. Now we got some contact on the front and a lot of steam there. Steve DeVos somehow got by the 18B of Wayne Boyd. And we've got a fire there with the number 94. Rather spectacular goings on here. Craig Mulligan. Craig Mulligan had something smoking. Now he's got something burning. And if he's a smart young man, he will bring that car into the infield. And he's going to have to jump out of there in a hurry. The safety crews are going to get over there. He's out of the car real quick. Fans put their hands together in a pretty, well, if you pardon the expression, a hot start to the evening. But boy, really had the wind fanning the flames there. And that brings things to a conclusion quickly. We had our eyes going in 20 different directions. We're watching Craig Mulligan in the 94 go up and smoke in the infield. And then we had the 18B of Wayne Boyd getting loose and almost taking the leader, Steve DeVos, with him. So we had about 3 or 4 different incidents going all at one different time. So Wayne Howard challenging Steve DeVos. But Craig Mulligan obviously was not aware of the smoke coming out of the back of the car. He had some sparks follow, and then he just kept right on moving, and then he had things burst into flames. Well, he's over there and he's okay. You can see him rubbing his neck. But no doubt the Mulligan folks have got a lot of work to do on that car before he's out here next week. Okay, as they get things sorted out, we have completed 6 out of 8 laps of the first Pro Stock heat. We'll take this break on McLean Hunter, Cable 10.
You're watching McLean Hunter Cable TV.
Eric Thomas, and we're back at Merrittville Speedway on McLean Hunter Cable 10. There you see the cause of our lengthy delay, the 94 car. Craig Mulligan in the first Pro Stock heat going up in flames. They decided to call that first qualifying heat after the first 6 laps out of a total of 8. Steve DeVos was the winner, Wayne Howard finishing second, the 67 car of Scott Mitchell finishing third. So we will shift now immediately to Pro Stock heat number 2. And Barry Davidson will bring them around. Actually, it's Roger Slack from Cayuga International Speedway. Up there, the flags, doing a little bit of guest starting. Just give you the lineup here as far as we can go with it before they go to green. It's Gary Vincent in the 12J, front row inside. The 17R is Ron Costco out of St. Catharines. Second row inside, the number 6. That's Kurt Wilkins from Niagara Lake. The 124, Gary Morash out of Welland. The 79C is Gary Burton from Niagara Falls. The 06, we now have it as J.C. Harvey. And the number 70 car, we get them all in here, Keith Williams. So that's the way they line up for Pro Stock heat number 2. We had the first one shortened by a couple of laps, 8 laps in total in the heats, but that fire to the 94 of Craig Mulligan ending proceedings after 6 laps. But over half of an event, so it's officially a race and officially in the books. Bringing them down, there's the green flag from Roger Slack. And down in turn number 1 they go, Pro Stock heat number 2. And the 17R of Ron Costco out of St. Catharines leads them down. The 124 of Gary Morash hanging in second place, and side by side for third place, the 12J of Gary Vincent. Right in beside the number 6 of Kurt Wilkins. There's the race now for second place, and they're really jammed up as they come out of number 4. 124, Gary Morash, leading him down now on the break. He takes over the lead from Ron Costco in the 17R. The 12J dropping back Gary Vincent in third place, and the rest of the field following in freight train fashion down the backstretch. Pro Stock heat number 2, Mother's Day Eve here at Merrittville on McLean Hunter Cable 10. And there's the 124, Gary Morash. It is Chevelle on the Welland is the leader. Got himself about a 6-7 car lead on the 17R of Ron Costco. The maroon car in second place, and a big gaggle of cars for second place. The 12J, Gary Vincent trying to hold off traffic, but here comes the 06 of J.C. Harvey. Side by side with the 70 of Keith Williams. And now Williams will drop it into fourth place, but here comes your leader, Under the starter's stand, we complete 2 out of a total of 8. The 124, Willens, Gary Morash. It is Chevelle. The race now for third place with the Williams number 70 getting by the 12J of Gary Vincent. Nice bit of driving there by Keith Williams in the 70, and he will inherit third place, but they're all trying to catch the 124 of Gary Morash out of Welland. Halfway through, cross flags from Roger Slack, our guest starter here tonight. Halfway through the event, and so far it looks like a drive to the store to get some bread for the 124 of Gary Morash out of Welland. No one near him. He's all by himself in turn number 4. There he is. That'll complete lap number 5. Battle now for second place with a 17, Ron Costco, and the number 70 of Keith Williams. A battle here. Williams drops back. The 12J of Gary Vincent, side by side, exchanging some sheet metal there with the 06 of J.C. Harvey. Now they've got a problem with Morash's 124. Front wheel has come detached or at least broken on the 124. And this is going to hand the lead over to the Costco 17R. Tough break there for Gary Morash. Left front wheel coming detached somewhere on the backstretch. And now Kurt Wilkins tags him hard right in front of the starter stand. And that's going to bring up the yellow, Kurt Wilkins. In the 6, kissing the 124 of Gary Morash a little harder than he would like with your average peck. And that's going to bring up the yellow flag. Tough break, kind of reminiscent of last week when we had Bill Willard in the Sportsman running away with it easy as you please, and suddenly the car just lost power and handed the win over to the, remember correctly, the 14W of Cliff Warner out of Port Colborne. This is almost exactly what happened here, because nobody at all was near Gary Morash in the 124. And now that makes it a little interesting here. But he lost a wheel back there somewhere. The CAA member service tow truck will send the 124 of Gary Morash to the pits by the express routes. So the leader now is a 70 car of Keith Williams. The rest of the field is filing in. That's unofficially, but now we're getting some word that the 17R of Ron Costco may indeed be your leader, so we'll have to see how they line up. There goes the 124 of Gary Morash out of Welland. We have 6 laps down out of a total of 8, and the first 5 will qualify for the Pro Stock feature coming up a little later on. All this rain we've had this week, finally the clouds went away for a better part of today, and so far so good. Boy, we've had a lot of rain around, a lot of big puddles around the racetrack. Things dried out at the right time. So Morash is finally off the track. Now we're trying to get the 2 lead cars inverted here. The 70 of Keith Williams and the 17R of Ron Costco. Now the leaderboard down in turn number 1 may tell the story, and that's the way they're going to line up now. Ron Costco, the 17R, going ahead of Keith Williams for a 2-lap dash. We'll put the 12J of Gary Vincent in 3rd place. Gary Burton of Niagara Falls in the 79, following in 4th place. Then the 06 of J.C. Harvey and the 6 of Kurt Wilkins out of Niagara on the Lake. One more time around from guest starter Roger Slack, and they'll be ready to go. So let's see if Ron Costco and the 17R to St. Catharines in his Monte Carlo can hang on and win this. 2 laps to go. Second Pro Stock heat. Week number 2 at Merrittville Speedway on McLean Hunter Cable 10. Nice to have you here. There's the green flag, and it's a 2-lap dash, and right away, the 70 of Keith Williams says, I want the lead back, and he's got it as they head into number 1. He'll leave Costco in second, and the 12J of Gary Vincent running in third. But now Vincent goes to the high side to try and catch Costco. The race is for second place, and a cloud of dust and a little smoke there from Costco. And flying by him is Gary Vincent in the 12J. But they're trying to catch your leader, Keith Williams, and he's coming out of 4. One more time around. White flag is out. Tough break there for 17R of Ron Costco. They see him limping in, but down the back stretch and really moving, Keith Williams in the number 70. He'll come around and grab the checkers. 17R of Ron Costco is going to stop right there in the front straight. Could be a little dangerous, but the 70 gets by him, Keith Williams. Here comes the rest of the pack. They're going to finish under yellow. The 12J, Gary Vincent running in second, and we've got the number 6 car, the 06 of J.C. Harvey, finishing in third place. Well, that infield is awfully muddy, and a few of the drivers are a little hesitant to pull it into that muddy infield. There's some new grass being planted there, and all the rain that we've had has turned the infield here at Merrittville into a swamp. And there's probably gators in it, too. Boy, that's pretty deep. At the 17R, Ron Costco stuck up here on the front straightaway right in front of the starter stand and right in front of our location. Your winner again, Keith Williams in the 70. The 12J of Gary Vincent finished second in the 06 of J.C. Harvey finishing in the show or third position. Heat number 3 coming out for the Pro Stocks. 5 will qualify again. The 9H is Larry Horrible Hannigan out of Port Colborne. It is Monte Carlo, pole position, front row inside. The 32R, Ron McCauley in his Chevelle. The 69 is Norwood Fard of Dunville, Lowbanks, if you want to be a little more geographically precise, in his Chevelle. And there's Tammy Willard in the 77 Junior. She's lined up there as well in the blue one. The blue car and the 00 is Jack Cassell out of St. Catharines. Still trying to get the number 17 car of Ron Costco unstuck from the front straightaway. And the officials will wave the other cars by.
Who's this 1P? 1P is Kenny Sharp.
Ken Sharp out of St. Catharines, and as Monte Carlo is out here, at least he's on the sheet. But so far he has not come out to join the party. So we've got one car short here as far as our lineup on the page goes. But we'll have to get a hold of Mr. Sharp and let him know that he indeed is on the board. Okay. That sometimes happens. You get all sidetracked in the pits and you forget where your race is. But someone can give Kenny a shot, let him know that we need him out here for the heat. But whatever. We will run with the 5 cars, and all 5 will qualify, so they can basically get out and kick these cars around if they wanted to. Pro Stock Heat number 3. Merrittville action once again for the 89 season on McLean Hunter Cable 10. Nice to have you here. Replayed every Tuesday and Thursday nights at 8:30, as long as the council meetings do not run over time, and if they do, then the racing gets preempted. At least that's what I've been instructed to tell you. We know that the councilors are stock car racing fans, so they know that once things are underway, they've got to finish it off by 8:30, so the racing can get on. That's every Tuesday and every Thursday at 8:30 on McLean Hunter Cable 10, Merrittville action. There's the 9H of Larry Horrible Hannigan out of Port Colborne, front row inside. He'll lead them around. There's 5 cars out there. All will qualify as long as they can finish. So let's see who wins this dice toss here. Roger Slack again going to do the flags. Yellow in the left, green in the right. He's got it unfurled, and here we go. At a turn number 4 and down the front stretch they go, all in behind Hannigan. And they're clicking bumpers out there. Larry Horrible Hannigan, Tammy Willard on the break. Coming in at turn number 2, but Hannigan finds some speed in the 9H. Willard's going to drag race down the back stretch. And there she goes, Norwood Farr in the 69 in hot pursuit. Tammy Willard didn't do so well last week. Norwood Farr gets hung up with Horrible Hannigan in the 9H. And that lets Tammy Willard do it all by themselves. And now Norwood Farr and the Hannigan 9H are into the bog in the infield. That brings up the yellow. That slows Tammy and the other two cars, left running, slowing them right down because Norwood Farr and the 9H of Larry Horrible Hannigan have stuck themselves together, and they're out here in the mud. And that's going to slow it down again. But Tammy Willard really on the brake was side by side with the 9H of Larry Hannigan. And then he got involved, as you can see here, with Norwood Farr 69. But Tammy really had the hammer down, was really letting her go. And we had a chance to chat with the young St. Catharines driver Tammy Willard in the pits before tonight's racing.
Talk with the driver who was, well, sort of the center of the pro stock news before the season even began. Tammy Willard out of St. Catharines. Tammy, give us an idea. A lot of the, well, girlfriends and wives just be content to, well, sit in the stands and back up the drivers. You weren't content with that, and it's quite obvious with this ride here.
No, I started racing go-karts there 4 years ago, and I kept bugging my dad to buy me a race car, and finally, just last year, he got one for me to try, and so far it's worked out pretty good.
It's nice to have a family and a dad who's been in the sport for a while to give you support and give you some pointers.
Yeah, well, my grandfather started racing a long time ago, 30 or 40 years ago, and then my brother carried it on, and now I started too.
What are some of the other girls in school saying, well, what do you do for a hobby? Well, we play a little basketball, a little volleyball, maybe a little horseback riding. I race a stock car. They say, what?
They think it's pretty good. They come out and watch and give me support, I guess.
You think we can see a lot more women, females in this sport before too long?
Yeah, there's been a few that came over and talked to me about it, and they said that they want to get into it, so be interesting to see what they do.
It helps to have a competitive car, too, because I think if you're laying back as one of the back markers, a few people could pick on you, and I think that that's an unfortunate thing that happens, but it does happen. You've got yourself a pretty competitive car. That helps.
Yeah, it works pretty good, and my dad and Terry Edwards, they've set it up really well, and it's working really good this year.
Have you had any aspirations of maybe going up into the Sportsman division, maybe even the first female to drive modifieds? How about that?
Hopefully I'll be moving into Sportsman next year.
How old are you? Can I ask that?
I'm 18.
Future's ahead of you.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Okay, a lot of fans. Tammy Willard of St. Catharines.
And there's a look at Tammy Willard out there. She's in control as the white flag is up. We've had our disabled racers removed. We've got two of them rejoining the field. As a matter of fact, the ones that got stuck in the bog down here, Larry Hannigan in the 9H and the 69 of Norwood Farr, are right back in the field. So all they did was just slide into the mud. They had no damage, so they're back in the field. Tammy Willard, we just talked to there. Front row on the inside, and outside of her, the 32R of Ron McCauley in his Chevelle. One lap down. We've completed one, and there are 7 more to go. Qualifying heat number 3 in the Pro Stock Division. V8 powered, much like the Bombers of seasons past. A little 350 V8 in there, one little 2-barrel carburetor, but they sure do honk, and here they come on the restart. There's a nice shot of Roger Slack with the green flag, and on the brake, Tammy Willard's going to leave him, saying bye-bye, and into turn number 1 they go. Tammy Willard in the 77 Junior. There she goes down the back stretch, all by herself. Norwood Farr is a distant second, and the 32R of Ron McCauley is a distant third, and he's got company for third place. Larry Horrible Hannigan in the 9H, and the 0 of Jack Casale out of St. Catharines, but they're all trying to catch Tammy Willard. 2 laps are down, 6 more to go. All these drivers are going to make the feature, but they sure want to make a race out of it, and Tammy Willard all by herself. The car nice and powerful, riding nice and flat. She gets a little wobbly there in forward, but pulls it around the front stretch and down underneath the starter stand. 2 laps. And now we've got a race here for third place. Hannigan now in the 9H 32R of Ron McCauley dueling here, and Hannigan will now take over third place. Norwood Farr in the 69 is desperately trying to catch Tammy Willard. Halfway through the event. We're halfway through. 4 down, 4 to go. Cross flags from guest starter Roger Slack in the starter stand. Hannigan in the 9H underneath to pick up his lap. Tammy Willard is just about got herself a 3/4 track length lead on everybody else. Norwood Farr is digging in and really wrenching the 69 around trying to catch her, but it is a very distant second place. Larry Hannigan of the 9H is running in third place. The 32R of Ron McCauley running in fourth. And the 00 of Jack Casal out of St. Catharines, and he will catch Ron McCauley and click up one position if he can. McCauley and Casal do a little jousting out there in number 1. But Tammy Willard with 6 laps down on the 77 is now coming up on the back side of the back markers, I guess. And the 32 of Ron McCauley is indeed in danger here of going a lap down. He goes up to the high side. Willard stays right on the groove, and she's going to lap him. And she puts the 32 of Ron McCauley a lap down. And I'll tell you, that's not that easy to do in an 8-lap race on a track this size. So she is really flying out there. One more lap to go. The white flag is out. And if Tammy can just stay out of the danger areas, she's going to bring this around. Here comes the checker flag, and Tammy Willard picks up the heat win. Norwood Farr is going to nail down second, as far as we can tell, right beside the 32R of Ron McCauley. Now Hannigan in a bit of a race here in the 9H with a 00 of Jack Casal. And if Hannigan can bring this thing around, I believe he will be our third place finisher. There it is, by about a half a car length, with Jack Casal in the 00. So Tammy Willard, who last week was sort of swallowed up by the pack after picking up a feature win that week previous at Ransomville Speedway, comes through with a win in Pro Stock qualifying heat number 3. And the Sportsman cars now make their way out. 350 cubic inch Chevrolet powered for a lion's share of this pack. They are, unlike the Pro Stocks, they are able to run headers, one stock 2-barrel carburetor on a stock manifold. They are able to use a quick change rear end. The 31 car, George Bossy out of Niagara Falls, in the original Troyer mud bus. The 3F is Rob Lettingham out of Port Colborne in his Troyer. The 105 is Paul Fitzgerald out of St. Catharines. The number 20 is Jay Mallory out of the Garden City of St. Catharines. '78J, John Pendekoski out of St. Catharines. The K7 is Kevin Fiddler from Stevensville. The number 2 is Dean Montrell out of St. Catharines. Beside him, the number 26 car of Ricky Rickner. The 24T down to the next row, John Lewis out of Fawn Hill, and the number 16 of Billy Baker out of Virgil, Ontario. 6 will qualify. So that's the way they line up. 10 cars in the first qualifying heat for the Sportsman division. And every time we go back to the pits and see who's out there, you see the number of these Sportsman cars growing just a little bit. There's George Bossy in that, as we said, the original Troyer mud bus that was debuted by A.J. Slideways, Alan Johnson, now out of Phelps, New York, many, many years ago. Sort of got the high-tech chassis debut off and underway. Going to Troyers and Olsons and show cars. Other such custom-made high-tech chassis. This is the car that sort of started that whole high-tech chassis revolution. The original Troyer mud bus. 8 laps, 10 cars. Merrittville Speedway on Mother's Day Eve. Nice to have you with us on McLean Hunter, Cable 10. Mel Swart is here, and the free ladies admission is courtesy of the former MLA out of Welland-Thorold, and we will try and find Mel somewhere and have a little chat with him a little later on. All right, they're bunched up. They're bunched up, and they're moving around. George Bossy to Niagara Falls will move that field at a turn number 3 and 4. And the green flag is up and underway from Barry Davidson. And there they go. Rob Lettingham, the 3F on the break. Leads that field of 350 V8 power down the front straightaway, and the ground shakes. Robbie Lettingham on a Port Colborne in his Troyer, moving around nicely, leading them freight train style at a turn number 4. Sportsman, first heat. 8 laps. One already in the books. And the track nice and tacky, nice and quick. And they're pretty well freight trained by now. Jay Mallory in the 20 hanging on to third place. And Paul Fitzgerald in a bit of a race there to challenge for that third place position. Everybody else is more or less strung right out in a freight train. The 3F of Rob Lenningham leads him down the back stretch. And no one getting close. George Bossy, 31 Niagara Falls. Fitzgerald right in the back end to Jay Mallory in the 20. He wants to take over third place if he can. He's hammering on the back door. 3 wide coming in the front straightaway. Number 2, Dean Montrell gets sideways a little bit up there and kisses the side of Kevin Fiddler. They both got to slow down a little bit. But it's still the 3F of Rob Lenningham. George Bossy drops back as Jay Mallory shuffles the deck on the front straightaway and takes up in second place. That'll put Bossy back in third in car 31. Paul Fitzgerald in fourth in car 105. But there's the leader with 3F. Rob Lenningham on a Port Colborne in his Troyer. Lenningham doing a nice job, and now he's already on the back end of some of the slower cars. But just showing the way around here, nice and easy. Now Lenningham gets himself involved in traffic. He's going to have to pick his way through very carefully. Gets by the 78 of John Pentecoski. Up on the back end of that car, trying to find it on the high side if he can get around him. There he goes. No problem. 6 laps complete. 6 laps. 2 more to go. And it's still the 3F of Rob Lenningham. Now he's up on the back end of the number 16 of Billy Baker. White flag being displayed. And Rob Lenningham showing it around very, very easily in 3 and 4. Checkered flag for Rob Lenningham. They don't come much easier than that. And George Bossy looks like he might be the second place finisher in car number 31. We'll wait for it officially, but your winner in a fairly easy drive, the number 3F of Robbie Lenningham out of Port Colborne in his Troyer. A nice drive, Sportsman first heat winner. There he is, Rob Lenningham out of Port Colborne. And we're getting the second pack of Sportsman cars ready to come out here and do some battle.
Got to finish there, finish order. Entering the track now is the second Sportsman. The second there.
George Bossy in the 31 was second, and Jay Mallory in the 20 was our third place runner. Yes, that is now official. Okay, so moving down to Sportsman heat number 2. 82 car is Dwayne Winfield out of Fort Erie. Beside him, the 21B, that is Conrad Baker out of Ridgeway. The 3A is Paul Ashton in his Bicknell chassis car out of Ridgeway. The 14W, last week's feature winner, Cliff Warner out of Port Colborne in the 14W. 23D, that is Dennis Villette out of St. Catharines, third row inside. On the outside of him, the 76 car of Ray McIver out of Sanborn, New York. The 22. Being driven by Darren Rogers of the St. Catharines, the nephew of many-time track champion Davey Moore. The 73 car, that is Ralph Davidson of Mill Grove, Ontario. He's the brother of starter Barry Davidson, who gives him the green flag, and they're off and underway. The 09 is also out there to bring up the field. That is Larry Eggleton, and the number 43 car bringing up the rear. And we'll check his number a little bit later on. But right now, looks like the 21B of Conrad Baker doing a nice job there to lead them down the back stretch. And Cliff Warner right on his back bumper. But here comes the 21B of Conrad Baker on the Ridgeway. Cliff Warner hot on his heels. Ray McIver in the 76. Right there, but here comes the Ashton 3A to challenge for third place. But here comes your leader, Conrad Baker in the 21B. With Cliff Warner pulling up right on the back end. The race is for the lead right now. Cliff Warner wants a lot of it. Conrad Baker's got it, and he doesn't want to give it up. There they go, the two Sportsman cars. In turn number 3 and 4, they're going to come around and click off yet another lap. Second qualifying heat for the Sportsman division. Cliff Warner right on the back end of Conrad Baker. Wanted to try it down low, but Conrad cut off that hole in a hurry. Nice racing for the lead here in the Sportsman. Conrad Baker. 21B. Cliff Warner, last week's feature winner, hot on his heels. Ray McIver in the 76. And the 3A of Paul Ashton. 1, 2, and 3 down the backstretch they go. Conrad Baker, 21B, hangs onto that lead. Rabbit ears up from Barry Davidson. One more time around. Cliff Warner right on the back end of Conrad Baker. Conrad Baker on the Ridgeway. Cliff Warner on the Port Colborne. Doing battle out here in heat number 2 in the Sportsman division. White flag is up from Barry Davidson. One more time around. Warner's going to have to make the move. He's got Ray McIver right there. Cliff Warner's going to try at the high side. Conrad Baker closes that off. Right on the back end, hammering it in. Contact, Nerf bar to Nerf bar. Conrad Baker going to hang on. Cliff Warner right there. And they're Siamese twins as they go underneath Barry Davidson. And that brings up the flag. Boy, Conrad Baker and Cliff Warner. Now Conrad Baker in the back end of Cliff Warner sort of returns the little tap favor there. Now they've got a bit of a jam up over there. And the exit of the pits. But some exciting racing there between the 14W of Cliff Warner. But he'll settle for second behind your winner, Conrad Baker. There's Dennis Villette. Moving underneath the starter stand, the right rear shoe has gone flat. Here you see it there on the Dennis Villette, number 23D out of St. Catherine. So back up on the jacks and a change of sneakers for Dennis Villette. Well, that's the way they wind up. In the Pro Stocks and the third pack, pardon me, of the Sportsman cars. The Sportsman cars coming out here. Third pack of the Sportsman. And leading them out, 37S, veteran driver in the modified ranks, now in the Sportsman division, Harry Sittler out of St. Catharines. 77 junior, Bill Willard Jr. out of St. Catharines. Driving car number 12, Trevor Wilkins. The other half of the Wilkin brother crew out of Niagara Lake in car number 12. Beside him, the 230, Larry Senegay out of Port Colborne. The 24A is John Lewis out of Font Hill. Beside him, the 39 of Al Redmond. Dropping down to the fourth row. Inside, that's Todd Turner out of Hamilton. And beside him, the number 19 of Jeff Kedrowski. Joining us first time this year from Ransomville. And the 111, Joe Mizell out of Hamilton. Barry Davidson closes them up on the back stretch. Sportsman heat number 3. Up and underway from Barry Davidson on the brake. Bill Willard leads him down. Bill Willard just scooted up in the middle of that pack to take over the lead, and he ran away with proceedings here last week, only to have the car completely die about 3 or 4 laps from the finish. But Bill Willard tricycles that car up on 3 wheels on a turn number 4, Harry Sittler. Following in second place, Larry Senegay. And the number 12 car of Trevor Wilkins, currently running in 4th place. Saw that car up on the trailer in the garage at York Auto Body next to the lumberyard today. Raring to go. He wanted to get out there and do some battle. And he's hanging in there right now with the 230 of Larry Senegay. Wilkins now running in 4th place. The leader is Bill Willard. And now we've got Senegay moving beside Harry Sittler. And they're going to go side by side for you out of turn number 4. Now we've got a problem there with Larry Senegay in the 230. Got the back end really squirrely. Senegay in the 230 and the 37S of Harry Sittler. Really dueling here for second place. They're all trying to catch Bill Willard, who's already up on the back markers. The 116 of Barry Reed. Bill Willard now lapping cars already. He's going to gobble up the 19 of Jeff Kedrowski already. Harry Sittler running in second place in the 37S. Larry Senegay in the 230. Right there with him, and there's Trevor Wilkins in the 12. Into turns 1 and 2 they go. Bill Willard making a cakewalk out of it. Senegay on the low side gets by Harry Sittler, and he'll take over second place from Harry Sittler. They got some slow cars to get around here. Sittler gets trapped in behind the 116 of Barry Reed. Kudrowski, number 19, running down low and slow. Everybody's going to get by him, no problem by the looks of things. But here comes your leader. There he is, Bill Willard Jr. out of St. Catharines. The white flag is up from Barry Davidson. One more time around. Larry Senegay running second. Harry Sittler running third. Trevor Wilkins gets out of shape, and he is T-boned by the 116 of Barry Reed. Wilkins keeps going. Reed looks like he got the worst of that one. But Wilkins just had the car get up high and out of control. The torsion bar is pushing. The car just coming sideways. He couldn't gather it back up. And they're going to finish under yellow with Bill Willard winning it. Larry Senegay finishing second in the 230. And the 37S of Harry Sittler finishing in third. But what a hair-raising finish that was. Luckily enough, the 116 of Barry Reed will take off under his own power. Obviously, the damage not severe enough to stop him from moving away under his own power. So we've had ourselves some pretty hairy events so far. Track is still just a little bit slick up around the edges, but very fast and tacky down in the groove. And that's going to make for some exciting stuff once the modifieds arrive. We've got another look at this. There's Wilkins getting sideways, and here he comes. Ooh, the 116 of Barry Reed T-boned him there. But luckily enough, he saw him in time and jumped on the binders, but halfway back in the front straightaway, and was not really able to tag Trevor Wilkins, number 12, too hard, luckily enough. And both cars continued under their own power. The driver is obviously okay. Mighty Modifieds are moving on out, being led by the number 16 of Jim Bigelow. Out of Thorold, 57. Lee Jerome out of Ancaster. 82W. Ken Winfield out of Fort Erie in his Bicknell Cavalier. The 06, Terry St. Amant out of St. Catharines, moving up from the Sportsman ranks in his Bicknell Cavalier. The 06, Terry St. Amant. Ron Smoker, the 62R from North Boston, is Bicknell Ford Probe. The 38W, that is Scott Wood out of Thorold, his Bicknell Cavalier. The number 18 out of Buffalo, Rick Hochter, joining us for the first time this year in his Hochter Ford T-Bird, a very strong runner. The 2H, Harvey Hayner out of St. Catharines in his Troyer Cavalier, a beautiful modified. And the 42, defending five-time track champion Pete Bicknell out of the Garden City, winner of our feature last week, going after his 6th consecutive points championship here at Merrittville. The Mighty Modifieds ready to entertain here on McLean Hunter Cable 10 in their qualifying heat number 1. There you see a couple of contrasts in body styles. Jimmy Bigelow in the 16, still with the old Gremlin-esque style, but as of July, the dirt rules specify all cars will have to be the fuller sheet metal. As you see, the 57 of Lee Jerome is an example there, the wider, more stock appearing cars. So Jim Bigelow, second generation driver. His dad, Gino, we watched as kids. He was a track champion here, and Jimmy has his own throng contingent of fans, and Bigelow puts the hammer down, leading the modifieds at a turn number 4. Here they go. Jim Bigelow, Kenny Winfield, 82W. Ron Smoker moves up. Lee Jerome squirts through the hole. So does Scott Wood as the 82W. Kenny Winfield really slows down. Bicknell gets by him as well. They all shuffle the deck, but they're still trying to catch Jimmy Bigelow in the 16. Ron Smoker running second. Lee Jerome third. Scott Wood, Pete Bicknell, Ken Winfield, Harvey Hayner, Terry St. Amant, and the 18 of Rick Hochter out of Buffalo. Wheel hop there with Ken Winfield and the 2H of Harvey Hayner. But everybody straightens out, no problems there. Out of number 4 to quick off another lap. 2 down. From the 16 of Jim Bigelow, Pete Bicknell in behind Scott Woods, 38, trying to move up, but right now currently in 5th. Tricycles on a number 4. There he is, the 16 of Jim Bigelow. Out of Thorold, Ron Smoker in the 62 62R in hot pursuit. Here comes the rest of the modified gang. Lee Jerome in the 57, Scott Wood 38W, and Pete McNell in the 42. But here comes Jim Bigelow. Hooked up well and dialed in nicely. Tricycles that modified up to between 1 and 2. Lee Jerome and Scott Wood. Growling in behind the number 62R of Ron Smoker out of North Boston. But there's Jim Bigelow as he gets our shot from the starter stand. Growling underneath Barry Davidson. 5 laps completed. Still Jim Bigelow in the 16. There he is all by himself in the Ron Smoker car, the 62R. Lee Jerome, 57J, the Scott Wood car, 38W, and the 42 of Pete McNell. McNell, our winner in the feature event of the modifieds last week. But right now, it's a Jimmy Bigelow show. Bigelow, 16, white flag coming out. 7 laps complete of a total of 8. Qualifying for the modifieds, Bigelow brings it around. Bigelow picks up the checkered flag in the first qualifier for the modifieds. Ron Smoker second, and we'll put Lee Jerome, the 57, third. Scott Wood fourth, and Pete McNell finishing 5th. 7 qualifying, so McNell is in there. But Jim Bigelow really twisting that modified, getting that inside front wheel right up off the ground, really twisting that frame. A lot of torque there. 454 cubic inches up to a maximum of 463 cubic inches. Headers, 4-barrel carburetor, monster manifold, between 600 and 700 horsepower. Oh, Rick Hochter looked like he may have been stuck up there between 1 and 2, but he finally gets things moving. And the second pack of modifieds coming out here. The 212 is Freddie Cade. Fred Cade out of Thorold now, used to hail from Niagara Falls. And beside him in the front row, the number 11, Jamie Turner out of Caister Center and his Troyer Cavalier. The 07 out of Hamilton, that's Mark Shadwell. Beside him, the number 4, that's Frank Plazik out of Caister Center. 20M is Don McGinnis out of Ransomville, New York, and his McGinnis Cavalier. Car number 1, Joe Plazik out of Caister Center, his Olson Mercure. And the 444, the man who hand grenaded one Cosgrove racing engine here last week, a very old engine with a lot of miles on it. A couple of Syracuse races, threw a rod through the block, but he's back out here running again. Brian Stevens on the 444, the 39 car, veteran driver Don Turner of Binbrook. And the number 96, Freddie Carlton out of St. Catharines. Don Turner is here. He has been running this track for a lot of years. There's the rather, well, animated body style of Fred Cade's number 212. He campaigned the 12 here for a lot of years. And like Joe Plazik of the number 1 has a lot of asphalt experience. He drove late models at Cayuga for a number of years. Campaigned the number 12 here, the dirt car. Changed 21 last year. Now he's the 212. He's really taken the tin snips to that bodywork. Rather unique looking automobile. Fred Cade in the 212 will set him up. Down the back stretch, closing up the holes, making it fair, making it square. They're going to come around number 4 for you. And Barry Davidson's got the green flag, but off and underway. And Freddie Cade on the brake leads him down. Into turn number 1, bouncing through to try and grab the lead, the number 11, the Jamie Turner. And he will take it away from Fred Cade. Shadwell's on the move. Heavy contact back in the pack. Whoa, they got things clicking out there. Jamie Turner, lots of fight coming in on number 4. Leading them down, Carlton and Don Turner. And you heard the click up here in the booth. They got cars spinning wildly. But a lot of skill there. They kept their cars on the racetrack and no yellow there. You heard the click of the nerf bars up here between the 39 of Don Turner and the 96 of Freddie Carlton. But no major damage. They just continue on at full speed. Well, the hearts were banging there. But now they're trying to catch the number 11. There he is. You see the interval gap between him and the all close up. The him we're talking about, Jamie Turner out of Caister Center. The 212 of Freddie Cade. There's Don McGinnis in the 20. Mark Shadwell, the 07. Joe Plazic in the number 1. Brian Stevens in the 444. Freddie Carlton, Don Turner. And the number 4 of Frank Plazic. Now we've got a big spin. Joe Plazic at 360. In the middle of the back stretch, Don Turner will slow down and get out of the way in time. But whoa, a complete 360 for Joe Plazic out of Caister Center back there. He spins it around. Didn't make any contact with anybody. Don Turner had to stand his modified on its head to try and avoid a collision there. But Plazic just got up on a rim of some moisture somewhere back there, and the modified just did a complete 360. Now he's going to turn it around lock to lock and get the car back in. He's up in the mud. Now he's going to test that front end to make sure nothing got out of geometry. Make sure he's okay. 4 laps are down, 4 more to go. Modified qualifying heat number 2, and Plazic appears to be okay. Nice looking car. He's another one like Freddie Cade with some dirt experience, or pardon me, some asphalt experience, now on the dirt. Freddie Cade leads him down. At a number 1, Freddie Cade gets a little out of shape. And we have the number 11 car of Jamie Turner drop back, and that created some hair-raising experience there. Now the yellow comes out, and they didn't line them up fairly. Everybody got really out of joint out there on the restart, and they're going to have to restart them again. Fred Carlton all of a sudden grabbed some brake, and he is now sitting up on the rim with his back end towards us in between 3 and 4. Number 11, Jamie Turner jumped out of the groove on the restart. Barry Davidson didn't like the looks of that, so he's going to have to restart them again. So the 212 of Fred Cade out of Thorold now has to bring him around in the realignment. Brian Stevens kicks that car around Fred Cade to get realigned again. 4 laps are down, 4 more to go. Now Brian Stevens in the 444 trying to find the slot out there. Obviously a difference of opinion on where they're supposed to be on the restart. They're trying to get Fred Carlton's 96 unglued from the rim up there between 3 and 4.
Okay, 2, 12, 11, 20 McGinnis, 07,
Still got McGinnis running out there. There's Don McGinnis out of Ransomville in the 20. Jamie Turner in the number 11, the 444 of Brian Stevens, who still continues to exchange places here with Fred Cade on the 212. Mark Shadwell is still out there in the 07, the 39 of Don Turner out of Bimbrook, the number 4 of Frank Plazic, and the number 1 of Joe Plazic out of Caister Center. Well, we can't have 3 abreast, and everyone knows that, but we still got some people confused on the restart here. And nothing can really start until we get Fred Carlton unstuck from up there on the rim between 3 and 4. Merrittville action, 89. 38th year on McLean Hunter Cable 10, replayed every Tuesday and Thursday evenings at 8:30, providing, of course, the council meetings don't run over.
You're going to have to go down there, Barry, and straighten that out. Yeah, we give it 60 seconds.
So we've got the chalkboards up in number 1 corner. And now Barry Davidson is going to have to come down from the starter stand to get things straightened around because they're still not lined up correctly. And they're still trying to get Fred Cade unstuck up there between 3 and 4. You can see it there, the CAA tow truck. Trying to pry him loose up there. Well, Barry Davidson's down on the front straightaway, and this sometimes happens. Drivers aren't picking up hand signals. And now he's down there getting everything straightened out. So while Barry gets them straightened out, we will break for this important message.
This is your community channel, McLean Hunter Cable TV.
Eric Thomas, and we're back. The restart here, the modifieds, qualifying number 2. Fred Carlton finally got unstuck, and we are finally back underway. 4 laps to go, and Fred Cade in the 2:12. Bouncing in between 1 and 2. Down the backstretch she goes. In hot pursuit, the 20 of Don McGinnis out of Ransomville. Brian Stevens is right there in the 444. Mark Shadwell joins the party in the 07. Fred Cade, though, continues to lead. Stevens tried to tuck underneath Don McGinnis, but McGinnis closed that hole in a hurry. Fred Cade, 2:12. Don McGinnis in the 20, 4:44. Brian Stevens, 1, 2, and 3 down the front straightaway. 6 laps are down, 2 more to go. And it's still the 2:12 of Fred Cade. Don McGinnis out of Ransomville in the 20, trying to get some ground gained on Fred Cade's 2:12 racer, and Brian Stevens is right there as well, but now a distant third as the pack starts to stretch out a little bit. Will they catch Fred Cade? There's only one more circuit left to try. White flag is up from Barry Davidson. And here comes Fred Cade to grab the checkered flag. Second qualifying heat for the modifieds. Don McGinnis in the 20 settles for second and will leave third place for Brian Stevens. Mark Shadwell in fifth. The 6th place car will be Don Turner. Joe Plazik following along with the number 11 of Jamie Turner and the number 4 of Frank Plazik. That's the way the second modified qualifying round goes, I should say. And a nice drive there by Fred Cade, who survived the restart and picks up the checkered flag. Into the intermission here at Merrittville Speedway, and while the fans are doing what they're doing, we'll have a chat with St. Catharines veteran driver Brian Stevens. Talking with Brian Stevens from St. Catharines. Brian, give us an idea how long you've been running here. You're one of the favorites. You're one of the people that shows up every year at Merrittville.
I think this is our 11th or 12th year, the modifieds. I'm not really sure. I don't really keep track. All I know is it gets to be more fun all the time.
The competition also gets stiffer all the time, too, doesn't it?
Well, I think this year the car count may not be as high as it has been, but I think the competition on the racetrack is going to be just tremendous. There's probably about 10 cars that can win. Everybody's fast. And I think the race is just going to be fantastic.
Now, last week, we used an expression we had a lot of mail about. We said somebody whooped their cookies. You had an engine go up in smoke. What happened on the 444 last week here, or at Merrittville on the opening night?
Well, we run Cosgrove racing engines,
right,
and I think he's probably the sharpest engine builder in the peninsula. And we were running an engine that was 2 years old. In fact, I'll tell you a little story. The rods, we tried to replace one, and we phoned the manufacturer of the rods, and they're 10 years old. And we knew that motor was going to blow. It just wasn't worth spending the money on it to fix it, because we're putting on our money into a new one, and hopefully in a month we'll have that out.
Now, last fall in Syracuse, you really had us banging our hearts with a tremendous action. You got ripped up pretty good there. You lost the whole back end of the car. It was a pretty rugged race, wasn't it?
It was a rugged race. It was a little disappointing because the year before we finished 5th, and last year we were really fast. We passed like 40 cars, and we were up to 6th, and then we got into a little jingle, and then we had that big pile up. But that's part of racing. You know, you take the good with the bad, and you just come here to win races. And if you don't win, well, everything else doesn't matter.
Your wife is involved a little more this year too with the 50-50. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, she and some of the other ladies and men are running a 50-50, and that's just going to be the same thing as what Fourscore had in previous years. But they had a little bit of complications with the border, and she's taking it over, and it's all pretty well set up, and it's going to be a good deal.
Later in the season, when we will talk to her about being a racing wife.
Well, that'd be interesting. I think she's got the hard part.
Well, we know you got a lot of fans here, Brian, and best luck to you.
Thanks, sir.
Brian Stevens of St. Catharines.